in human performance enhancement, how to manage crisis. And very specifically today, she's going to converse with us on the subject matter of the correct mindset, or how to reach that correct mindset during crisis and contemporary times. The biggest crisis that has hit the known world is the COVID-19. So it is all over to you, Ms. Nabila. You have the stage and you have the screen share as well. You can share your screen and you can start off as soon as you want it.
All right, let me just get myself organized here. Sorry, I'll just put this on full screen. There. So I don't know if you can see the screen right now. Can you see the first screen?
Yes, we see the first screen loud and clear. You have complete control.
All right, so as you have introduced, that the topic for today is having the right mindset. So if you look at the picture on the left, it says reset your mind. And this is what I want you to focus on throughout the slides that that I'm going to be talking about. But before we get into the topic, I would just like to give a brief explanation, a brief introduction about myself. I'm Nabila Al Amri from Oman. I'm an executive coach and trainer, have a master's in business administration, certified trainer, and I've got a practitioner diploma in executive coaching. I'm a board member of the ICF Oman chapter, which is the International Coach Federation. And I've been a part of the interesting program with Goldman Sachs and the US State Department. It's an entrepreneurship program for women in the Middle East. My previous work experience, I was an English language teacher throughout my lifetime before. I had a business that I ran for 5 years as well, and that's where I got my entrepreneurship experience. I've been part of a lot of volunteer programs, but I put the three main big programs that I was part of as volunteer work, as you can see there. So having the right mindset and finding positivity in our days, and I emphasize on the words right and positivity for specific reasons. If you want to have a right mindset, that means as human beings, we already know what is right and wrong, and we're supposed to go towards the right thing. So if you're already feeling that your mind is going through the wrong side of the mind, that's why you're here today, to find out what you need to change it in order for us to find positivity in the days today and the days after that, because it will definitely leave, we will have some kind of aftermath, and we will have to find a way of how to progress in our lives after the pandemic. Current situation, so I would like to ask you right now, what are you feeling? If you can put down your thoughts in chat, or maybe just go through it in your mind, I would like you to have a think about what you're feeling right now with the current situation. And if I'm not wrong, these are the kinds of thoughts that is going through your mind right now. You feel trapped, maybe you're lost, you're fed up. There's a lot of negative thoughts coming in your mind. You might be feeling unproductive because work has stopped. You're worried. So I don't know if Fahad, you want to allow people to have a say in this at this point, or we should carry on. I know a lot of people are feeling depressed. I'm also part of a clinic, which is called the Whispers of Serenity in Oman, and we have on-call days. So I have people coming in who are extremely depressed and worried at all times because of these negative minds all the time. So I can see the chat here. We've got people telling us what they're feeling. Fahad, if you can just note that down. So finding positivity is about changing your mind and about shifting your focus, and they're linked together. So you need to change the way you think, and in order to find focus, you need to do the following. Finding positivity is a mindset on its own. So look at the picture here. I put this particular picture for a specific purpose. It's like a piece of a puzzle that's missing in our head at the moment. You need to fix it in to be able to find positivity in your days, and that's how you will be able to shift your mindset. Shifting your mindset is like changing the gears of your car. If you need to go on 3, you have to shift that gear to go on 3. If you need to reverse, you need to shift it as well. So it's like shifting any gears in your hand. So this is up to you to be able to shift the way you're feeling at the moment, what you're thinking about, and how you're behaving. So the first thing is to stay away from negativity. And how do you do that? Less of the news, less of WhatsApp messages, and social media. We already have a lot of information about COVID-19. Do you need to know more? Do you need to dig in more about the news? Do you need to find out more about the WhatsApp messages? WhatsApp has blocked the number of times you can forward messages right now because of this purpose. Because the same messages are roaming around and around and causing disruptions in people's homes and their minds. So do you really need to put more of these things in your mind right now? So you need to stay away from negativity to be able to shift your mind. But before you do that, you need to do the scan, a body scan, self-awareness. And there's 2 types of self-awareness. One is internal self-awareness, and the second is external self-awareness. But today, we want to focus on the internal self-awareness. And what does that mean? The ability to evaluate yourself on how you feel and what you're thinking about and how you're behaving. I will leave the strengths and weaknesses for now, but you need to think, you need to be able to pause for a minute and think about how you're feeling. What's going in your body? How are you feeling? How is it making you think about all those messages that you keep on reading, the news that you're watching? What kind of thoughts are going in your head? And because of those feelings and those thoughts, it results to certain behaviors. You become nervous, you become anxious, you become worried constantly. Your body cannot relax. So do you need this in your life right now? So the next step is to change our focus. So now you know it's a process, and the process of self-awareness is not easy. It's training. You need to learn how to do self-awareness, to be able to scan, to pause for a minute and think how your body is feeling and what you're thinking and what you're going through. Then you go to the next point of changing your focus. Do some spring cleaning. It will change your focus. Organize your home, for example. Clean up or organize your laptop. I spent 2 days organizing my laptop because it can take that much time and your mind becomes unfocused, out of the negativity and focused into something else. Try something new that you've never tried. I don't know, play a guitar or try a new instrument. Learn a new recipe in the kitchen. I know families who are literally in the kitchen right now trying new recipes together, the father, the children, the mother. They're making a mess, but they're having fun and they're changing their focus. Take a course. I'm taking two courses right now, and it's definitely keeping me busy. Am I going to do anything with the courses later? Maybe, maybe not, but at least my focus has changed. And learn a new language, maybe. I'm sure you've heard a lot of this right now. A lot of people are trying to learn new languages, and thank goodness for technology. We can learn a language through apps. Play a game or go back to gardening. If you don't have a garden outside, it's fine. You can get a little pot to take care of in your little kitchen and give some love. You know, you can just do a little planting, have a look at how that flower feels. And by the way, things like gardening can actually vibrate to you. So plants make you happy and you can vibrate back. If you're not happy, that plant will feel your unhappiness and start dying. So you can do a little love by taking care of a little plant. Play puzzles. In the 80s, we used to play puzzles, you know, the little puzzles. Literally, you can take a puzzle of 100 pieces and it takes time. You can do it with your family. It trains your brain. It takes your mind off all of the negativity that's around us, and time will pass. And Maybe you can watch some old movies or go through old albums, go through old memories, share them with your family and friends, maybe connect to your old school friends or university friends and share each other's albums. These are all things that can make you happy and change the status that you're in. But the most important thing is that you have to alternate, because sticking to one thing will again put you back to the same routine, and you start getting bored of it, and you will not be able to find any positivity or happiness out of it. The most important thing that is important for us today and the future is to practice mindfulness. Be in the moment. This is us now. Your body is present. It's grounded on the ground. You're in your house. But is your mind present? Or are you thinking of the future and thinking about what's going to happen next? When am I going to get out of this mess? There's no point of us thinking for the future in that way. What's the benefit of it? So be in the moment and take pleasure of the moment and everything that is around you. What can you do now to change the way you think and the way you feel and the way you're behaving? Ask yourself this question. You're here now. You've got all of these things around you. What can you do to be present and be in the moment? Plant mind seeds, and I'm sure you're thinking right now, what is planting mind seeds? And I would like to show this to you. If your mind is a garden, now this is a question for you, and your thoughts are seeds, what seeds will you plant today? And I would like to take a moment for you to think about that. If your mind is a garden and your thoughts are seeds, what seeds will you plant today? It's up to you to change. Gratitude is very important. We often forget what we have and often forget what we own and what situation we're in. There are people who are in worse conditions than us. Now let's take a moment of gratitude. What are you grateful for today? I would like to take 5 seconds for you to think about this. What are you grateful for today? Life, safety, shelter, food, family, time. We complain a lot about time when we're in our busy days. We don't have time. I say that I need 48 hours a day, many times in our normal, regular activities. But today we have extra time and we're complaining about the extra time. So have gratitude about the things that you have today, because there are people who don't have it. There are people who are stuck in a 1-bedroom flat and are going crazy with it. There are people who don't have their family around them. They're separated in 2 different worlds. There are people who don't have safety and are in this condition at the same time. So what is your gratitude during this time? Think about it, and it's good to write about what you're grateful for every single day. Journaling is another aspect of mindfulness. I'm not going to go in depth with mindfulness because we can make a whole webinar about mindfulness, but I would just like to point out that you can write what you'd like to do the next day, plan it. Before you sleep, write down what you would like to do the next day and how your day would like to be, how you would like your day to be like. We often have to-do lists, and today we are left with our feelings and just us. So how do you want to feel in these days? Instead of having a mountain of all of these negative thoughts, why don't you replace them with positive thoughts? So if you want to get away from everything that you're feeling and you're experiencing, how can you replace them? What words are you going to use to replace them? And when you replace those words with the positive words from the negative words, you will be able to find your way out of what you're feeling and how you're thinking. Ask yourself, who's responsible for your happiness and peace of mind? Not me. It's not your father, it's not your sister or your brother or anybody. It's up to you to change that? And at last, was there anything that lasted forever? There's nothing. So this will end one day, but it's up to you to make these days precious and these days productive and happy and change how you're feeling and move away from negativity. So how can you make that happen, and how can you change your days for yourself and for your family? And that's it. Thank you so much. And we can take questions, and Fahad, maybe you can take this ahead right now.
So very kind, Ms. Nabila, for all the points of view that you've pushed across. I believe they're very valid for times as we are running through a crisis of Corona. Let me just visit the chat box and we'll take it from there. You can stop your screen share and put yourself on the main screen as well. That makes it easier for everyone to focus on. The first question that comes across is from Mr. Glenn Jones. Very specifically, he states, and the question, do you think people with an external locus of control are more prone to negativity? I'll rephrase and put this question to you. Do you think people with an external locus of control are more prone to negativity?
You keep on looking at locus. Just let me understand this, right? So the people who are always thinking externally and rather than internally.
I believe that is true.
So,
that is the point.
Okay, so yes, of course, you're more prone to negativity because you're always looking at the outside world. You are thinking about, how am I going to feel like when I'm out? I want to go to that coffee shop and have my cup of coffee like in my regular days. So by always thinking about what you can do outside and thinking outwards will bring negativity today. So we are trying to focus on the situation today. We're all in lockdown. We're in our homes. How can you create that environment and make it positive? The first thing is to stay away from thinking about the outside. So when I was talking about the screen that I shared about being in the moment, at the moment we are in our home. So there's no point of us thinking about how it will feel like or how it will be like if we are outside. So that is external thoughts, if this is how I'm getting it, if I'm getting it right. So what is the benefit of you thinking about what days will be like if we were out of lockdown? There's no benefit. We are here now. We are here today. It is enforced upon us. How can you fix the now and the today for you to be out of anxiety and out of the negativity?
Good enough. I believe that is very valid an answer, because intrinsically we need to be more stable. Extrinsic stimuli tend to take focus away, but very aptly put. Next question comes from Ms. Shabana Sheikh. The question goes, sometimes controlling your thoughts is difficult. Why we are wrong when we think we are right? It's kind of a mindful of a question. I'll rephrase that. Sometimes controlling your thoughts is difficult. Why we are wrong when we think we are right?
Yes. So those are kind of like two questions. I will divide them into two. So controlling your thoughts is difficult. I will just ask a question. I will give a question back to you. Who controls your mind? You. Who is in control? You or your mind? So as I said before, it is.
Now that's a very valuable question.
It is a training process. So you have to start with self-awareness first to be able to understand yourself. So once you're aware that you're starting to think negatively, and you know that in your mind that you're thinking negatively, you have to tell yourself and your mind, stop, because this is not getting me anywhere. So that's the first process of starting to control your mind. And this works with anything in life. Even when you want to sleep and your mind is constantly thinking about things, it's a process to tell your mind, there's no point of me thinking about this thing because I cannot do anything about it now. Maybe when I wake up in the morning. So the best thing is to write it down, wake up in the morning and take it from there. Otherwise you lose your sleep by thinking and it's not helping anything. So you need to control your mind because the mind is inside your head and not the other way around. Why are we wrong when we think we are right? Many things that we think are right is because we were brought up in situations where we are just used to certain routines, we're just used to certain things and things that have been taught to us, told to us, and it's more of a routine and rather than if it's right or wrong. So it's up to you to decide not if it's right or wrong. It's up to you to decide if it's how you want it or not. And when you get to that point where you can know the difference, where if you want it or not, then you will be able to separate that.
Right. I believe it's a trick question for us all because outside and inside, once again, right and wrong, both are relative. Some things which are considered absolute truth. For example, if I'm sitting on this chair in front of you, it is relatively static a position I'm maintaining. But if somebody's looking at me from the moon, I'm very much in motion. So it's relative, true and false. Next question, it comes once again from Ms. Shabana Sheikh. She mentions more active towards opportunities, how to make stress your friend.
Well, stress can never be our friend for sure. How can you remove stress? So removing stress is about time management, and that is the whole topic on its own. And sometimes we tend to put stress on ourselves, again, when you're not mindful. There was a slide that I wanted to share, but we spoke before me and Fahad, we will do another maybe session on mindfulness, where that it is up to you to be able to actually remove all of the clutter that we have in our heads. So to be able to make stress, to unfriend stress, I'm going to put it that way because I don't like the word stress your friend, because stress can never be our friend. How can you unfriend stress? So how can you fix your time? So it's time management. How can you practice mindfulness? And I've given you a hint today because mindfulness, as I said, can be a whole webinar. And removing all the negative thoughts can also unfriend stress because it creates clutter in your head and you don't want that. And stress will cause anxiety.
Perfect. With the point that you've pushed across already, which was once again my culmination thingy, but rest assured, we will be going into in-depth analysis of mindfulness, how to enable to be not mindful with 2 L's and being mindful with 1 L, to enable ourselves to stay in the moment, stay in the zone, as they call it in high performance or human performance enhancement. That is very, very valuable. The question which personally I have kept for myself and a question that I would like to put across to you, what kind of a routine ought to be maintained if we want to enhance our performance in case of a crisis situation like COVID-19? For example, getting up in the morning early, sleeping in late, working late at night, having a power nap in the afternoon. What kind of a thing within the 24-hour period or a circadian cycle would be most appropriate if I want to generate maximum output with minimum input, maximize efficiency?
As I mentioned in the journaling, the day before, you need to decide the day before what your day, how you want your day to be like the next day. So today, for example, maybe by 9 o'clock, you will have to decide, do I want to wake up early tomorrow? What do I want to do tomorrow? And how many things do I want to achieve? So based on that, you will be able to know when you need to wake up. Well, before that, when you need to sleep, when you need to wake up, and how to organize your time based on that. So it's a plan ahead. You need to decide the day before what you want to do tomorrow and how many things you want to do tomorrow. And based on that, you can figure out your routine. If your routine is just as busy as other people there, that's again another topic that I would have liked to cover, which is the life-work balance during COVID-19. and is about organizing your time and managing your time while you have family at home, while you're at your desk, there's a television in front of you. How do you do all of that is also a whole plan on its own for you to be able to have a productive routine. If you want your day to be productive, you can plan it to be productive so that you can get away from all these negative thoughts. So what do you want to do tomorrow? Gardening? And oh, it's hot tomorrow, so I better wake up at 6 o'clock and do my gardening in the morning so that it's not too hot for me.
Right, good enough, good enough. We have one parting question from Muhammad Awais. He mentions, and the question goes, how can we help ourselves accepting new normals in our life? Like post-corona life would be different, yet it would be the new normal. How to cope up with making oneself more content?
Yes. Funnily enough, we were actually just talking about this with with my colleagues at the clinic about the beyond the corona life. So the impact here is different for many individuals because it's different with business owners, different for people who are at home, maybe very regular for people who are at home, but for companies, people who have lost their jobs, for example, or companies that have not been productive. So a lot of things are going to change, and this is a huge topic to talk about that I cannot cover today specifically, because it depends on what area it is exactly that you want to focus on. If it's just our normal life, I believe our normal life will go back to normal, but slowly, surely, but slowly, because we're still going to be facing corona until the vaccine is out to every part of the world. So we're still going to be faced with social distancing, being careful, and highly on technology. So I think you have to focus on how can you build that environment for yourself at home if, God forbid, we are still stuck in lockdown, because we might get out and back in again, out and back in again. We don't know what's going to happen with the vaccine not being out again. So you have to focus on how can you create that environment for yourself and your family before we get back to work, because going back to work, that's a whole different topic that will have to involve your organization, your employees, and everybody around that.
Right. I believe that's very valuable. I would, because we're almost culminating time-wise, Mr. Glenn Jones, if you can come up and say a few parting words.
Thanks very much, Farhad, for organising this webinar, and thank you so much, Nabila, for your presentation tonight. It's certainly given me a lot to think about. It's interesting that the changes, the changes we're going through with the coronavirus and the new normal. One thing that I discovered when I was in the army, going from one posting to another, that I felt uncomfortable for the first week or so. New surroundings, new people, and I just got to the point where I just said, listen, things are going to settle down after a week or so. You'll get to know everybody. You'll know the location. Get over it. And in life, we've also got to adapt. Nothing ever stays the same. So we have to adapt to change. The thing is not to get stressed over the change and realise that we will get used to it. But we could discuss this at length, and I'm sure there will be a good turnout for the next webinar that we have as well, and many others. And I'd like to thank all the participants tonight as well for coming along. As you can see, we don't only look at the mechanics or the flight side of the flight operation side of it, aviation safety. One of the biggest factors in aviation safety is human factors, and that's essentially what we're talking about here tonight. So thanks again, everybody, and I'll pass you back to Faye. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Again, once again, Ms. Nabila, a very fruitful session for all of us. Conclusion, we are having another session on mindfulness in the coming week. So I hope and I believe that all the participants who are here will pass the word on, and we'll have even more people joining us to take advantage of this free webinar. But rest assured, kudos to Ms. Nabila for all the effort that she's put in. And thank you once again, Glenn, for joining us. And for everyone else, have a good weekend. Stay home, stay safe. Hasta la vista. We'll certainly see you next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Keep safe.